Hello, welcome to another episode of Steps into the Unknown. We've been out for a little bit, a couple weeks, but we had our big trip to Arizona, which we're going to be talking about today, and got quite a few really cool pictures and an interesting video to show you of some evidence that we got. We went to Tombstone, the Arizona Territorial Prison, and also from a little bit of spirit box evidence from our haunted brothel we stayed in. So, the first place we went was the Arizona State Territorial Prison. It actually has a pretty interesting history. It's been there since the 1800s. It was a high school in the early 1900s. Yeah, it's the other interesting thing too is, as you'll see from the pictures, is the fact that it is entirely open. It is not what you typically see your jails, where they're all indoors and any sort of cooling, ventilating systems or anything like that. It is iron cage. Yes, iron cages inside concrete or adobe in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting, and the place that you would not want to go, which would be called the dark cell, which was like if you got in trouble, it would pretty much be your uh, what is it called in the prison system? The
Shoe?
yes,
Like isolation?
it would be like isolation, like special housing. You know, you get in
Yeah.
trouble, you go there. Well, in that case, it's a dark hole in the wall, basically, with a tiny cage. So it's not comfortable, but at the same time,
It's cooler.
it's a lot cooler. So, you gotta
Pick your
pick your
battle.
poison. Um, did you notice anything when you were there?
The heat. It was like 104 degrees, and I think that was like pretty normal.
Yeah.
Just talking about the heat in general, Yuma is hot. Beautiful, but just hot. The dry heat. So it wasn't like, you're dying. But in terms of the prison, I kind of got like some chest compressions in certain areas. I was wearing a shirt that said, well, it was like law enforcement related insignia, and in one of the cells, there was like well, we were communicating with the spirit, and he didn't really like me much, so I started getting like lightheaded and really, really dizzy. So I stepped out, and we were using the spirit talker. And he had said, what did he say?
We got others are scared, and then shortly after that was Patty. So like
Patty, like a paddy wagon. And I didn't put two and two together until later, when Joel had mentioned, "Oh, you're wearing that shirt, so he probably assumes that you're one of the COs there, the correction officers there." So I did step out because I just started to feel heavy. I didn't feel like they were trying to like attack me in any way, but it was just you don't belong there, and I respected that, and I got out.
Yeah, and I was overcome with sadness. I felt a lot of extreme sadness, and then I actually went inside the cage just to kind of feel what they felt for a little bit. And as I was going out of there, the spirit box popped up with "Watch yourself," which as soon as my head got near where you would bonk your head if you were coming out of that cage, it immediately said that, which was super interesting because, with any of these tools, you always want to kind of play with them a little bit and see if they're working correctly, or, if they're just some BS
Spits out any
Google
kind of word.
Play app
Yeah.
type thing, So and I have messed around with it quite a bit in places where there's nothing, and it either rarely goes off, which it picks up signals, so that's normal, but it doesn't come up with a frequency. It's usually dead quiet. And then in that case, and especially in that situation, and also later on we'll talk about the room, it was coming up with words or sentences like just
That were relevant.
and like rattling off right after that. So very interesting, and also another kind of thing going along with the debunking your own equipment. So there's also Anna has a real EMF meter, and I had an EMF meter on my phone, and I wanted to verify if we could use that as a secondary tool.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my phone, and I measured it in the meter, and I put it next to her phone, and it was red. And then her EMF meter was red also because it was picking up the electromagnetic field signals off her cell phone device. So it's interesting where you can kind of verify your devices like that.
Yeah.
Because as much as everyone in the world would like to get on different paranormal websites and spend all sorts of cool money on the teddy bear that makes noises when it's touched and all that stuff like that, all that stuff is like several hundred to $1,000. So it's not cheap. So if you can, as an amateur, get your hands on some of the apps that usually reputably work, then very, very useful. So a lot of the things we use is the either Ghost Tube or the Spirit Talker app, and that works pretty useful for the most part from what we've seen. But going back to the main topic, so after that prison, we ended up we finished up, got to Tombstone that night, and we checked into the Airbnb brothel, which was so nice. Those people are great. The food is amazing. Had a great stay there. It is an old building. It's an original building for the most part. They did a couple add-ons for the rooms, but the main hub is original. So it's there's a TV downstairs, but inside your room there's no TV. The plugs are kind of janky, so just be prepared. If you're staying there, you're gonna have to kick it old school and just maybe have your cell phone for entertainment, but there's no TV, nothing like that. So, and then we walked around a little bit, had a great time in Tombstone.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. And then, how'd you feel about your first time in Tombstone, walking around and everything, experiencing it?
It was really fun. Like this cool little like village, and like the fact that it was like the Wild Wild West, and just seeing all of that. Definitely like TV, but it was cool just being there in person. Where did we go? We went to the Birdcage Theater, and we had a really interesting experience there. So it was a saloon, it was a brothel. A lot of gunfights happened there. So many amazing stories. We had a fantastic tour guide. She was wonderful, and we got some cool photos too.
The Birdcage was essentially like especially in that town in the Old West, it was like pretty much think like the ill repute Walmart of back then. They had entertainment. You could get your hair cut there, all that stuff like that. There was
your wife there.
Poker games. Get your wife for the night there.
Yeah, for the night. Sorry. I stand corrected.
So very interesting history, and as you go in there, you feel a lot of energy. Especially near that display case. I felt really weird, and I remember you telling me that you felt kind of wobbly.
Oh yeah, like I was on a boat, and I couldn't put the two and two together for some reason until later. That's usually what I do, and essentially, it was just the feeling of being just drunk. I was just feeling like I can't walk straight. My head felt like a balloon, and I was like, what are these feelings? And then obviously it comes to me later.
And then what's interesting too is around that same spot where she got those feelings was in the direct line of gunfire to where there was a bullet in the bar where this guy apparently got tossed out by one of the bar owners. Very, very, very big lady, Amazon woman of the time. and she apparently had picked him up, tossed him out, and he was upset. So he kind of climbed back in the bar, and on his butt he shot a bullet and missed her and hit the bar. So who knows? It's always interesting when you hear history relevant to what you're kind of experiencing.
Yeah.
So after that, we went on the ghost tour, and they turn out all the lights at the very end, and that is when that place comes alive completely. You can already kind of feel weird when you're walking around there. There is a not so nice madame on the right side of this upper stage area, and I definitely felt looking up the stairs as we passed by there just uh, the growling dog feeling of just don't come up here. There's something up here that will hurt you. So
Yeah, I didn't get that sense whatsoever, but Joel is a lot more sensitive than I am, and he really does pick up on a lot of things, and it's really interesting because we don't talk, as we've mentioned this before, we don't talk about our feelings in the moment. We talk about it afterwards, so we don't influence one another, and kind of get, oh, I feel that too, subconsciously. So we kind of keep it to ourselves, and then we regroup at the end, and we compare and contrast notes.
So after we went downstairs, and unfortunately, the annoying part is with these tours is when I went to Tombstone the first time, I had a great group. Everyone is super respectful. It was an amazing time. When we went this time, it was a very disrespectful group, and one of the people that were there, it was a couple, and they were very overzealous, I guess you could say, of their findings. We were downstairs, and they had their private brothel rooms, and they were taking their devices and just hogging the crap out of the entire time. Just extremely rude. Like, if you're on your own and you're doing your own investigating, cool. Hey, you know what? Take however many hours you want. That's fine. But like, you're there with a bunch of other people, so snap your pics, put your device in the room, for a couple seconds. If you get something cool, if not, then move on, because you're kind of being a jerk, and nobody likes that. You're ruining the experience for everybody else.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So after that, we go upstairs, we turn out the lights, and we turn out the lights. And how it works is you enable night mode on your phone, which has no flash. It's pretty much just shooting out what IR, I'd assume, for light. So you will still see, like the red, a little bit of red illumination from the IR, the night vision, on your camera phone. And then after that is when you do your flashes and pick up things or whatever. So we didn't get anything during the flashes part, but we did get definitely a series of very interesting pictures in the course of seconds.
Milliseconds.
And we took enough pictures to where it was, between the two of us, we could formulate a shape appearing in actual full body apparition faces. And what is interesting about that is the face, and I zoomed in on it, is the girl and the guy were not in our group at all. And in that area where they were filmed at, no one was there. No one in that area resembled them. And it couldn't have been a reflection off of glass, because, like I said, there's no flashes. We're doing night vision. There's no way there could be any sort of reflection or anything like that.
And so the little rooms, they're called cribs, and that's where the ladies of the night would do their entertaining. I think it was $25 for the room at the time. And so in that one crib, which was to the far right, right by the stage, there's like a stage, and then to the far right, there's one of the little rooms called the cribs on the first floor, and you can clearly see an image of a young girl, we would say about 14, sitting with a gentleman. I would say he was in his I don't know, late 40s, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
early 50s, wearing a white cowboy hat.
Yep.
Those two people were not in our group. Were not in our group at all, and nobody was wearing any kind of
Mm-hmm.
hats, let alone a big cowboy hat. And the scary thing is, but scary, interesting is, we were sitting in total darkness. So when I was snapping away, just taking photos back to back of the same areas, because I like to do that. Like I'll take a photo, one photo, and then I'll take two more of the same location, just in case, so I could like review it. And when you see the image populate, the first one is like kind of blurry. You could tell something's there. The second one, clear as day. The girl is looking at me, my direction. The man is not, but she's staring directly at me, and we were very far
We're
away.
probably 50 feet away at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I zoomed in, that's what you could see, and we'll bring that up on the screen. And then also the features. One of her eyes looks like it's rotting away.
The right side of her face. It
Right
looks like
side
it's
of
fading
it,
off.
like it's
Yeah.
fading
Yeah.
off, kind of like a skull type of thing. And for the man, we'll try to see if there's like if we could zoom in enough. But I did take these photos on my iPhone. So the man on the right side of his head, by his forehead, there are three circular dots that look like 22 caliber shots, and in a cluster would most likely be like close range, because you can't really cluster like that from a distance. And if you can, you're a sharpshooter, and like I commend you, but that wasn't really the case back then. So that was incredible. And then the very next photo after that was, you don't see the girl anymore. She's kind of blurred out, and the gentleman is blurring out, but now you can still see the image of the hat, but now his face looks skeletal, like zombie
Mhm.
crosses and bones type of thing. It's fantastic. It's just incredible stuff.
Mhm. And then we also got that picture where you shot it behind you, where
Oh,
there was nothing in the doorway, and then there was like a ghostly silhouette of a man in a cowboy hat.
yeah, that was an interesting photo
Mhm.
too. And what I did want to say is, in the photo where the girl and the gentleman are around, you can see the people that were in our
Mhm.
group. You can see just the silhouettes,
Yep.
and it's blurry. So because this is night vision, technically night vision, no flash. So you're just taking pictures in the dark. So you can see the outline of the parties around us, and the fact that you could see those images very clearly means they wanted to be acknowledged.
Mhm.
So that was amazing, an amazing find, and I'm so grateful that they allowed us to do that. They wanted us to be able to record them. Incredible footage.
And then the other really good piece of evidence we got is I'm gonna have to slow it down because it's only like a second or
Yeah.
two. It's quick, but how we got that was um, Anna accidentally had her flash on, so she meant to take a picture, and
It went to video.
It went to video, and it had her flash on accidentally. Well, when she did that, when she was like, "Oh crap," and she turned it off, well, in that split second, they were making the flashlight turn on and off, asking the spirits to turn the flashlight on and off. So in the video, you'll see the flashlight turn off, and then you'll see what looks like almost like a hand, like materializing and then vanishing like this. So toward the flashlight. So
Yeah, so the
very, very interesting.
the tour guide was sitting by, I think it was the piano, and she had the flashlight there, and she was asking yes or no questions, and spirits would answer by either turning on the light, turning off the light. So they had turned the light on, and then she was asking them to turn it off. And at that moment, in pitch darkness, is when, instead of photo, I clicked video. And when I saw that flash, I'm like, ooh, and that's when I stopped it. But then I played it back, and I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? So, and we zoomed in as best as we could, and um, yeah, you could definitely see something going
Hmm.
towards it to turn it off. So that was a really cool video, because usually when we do it, it's photos, which are fantastic too, but to actually get video evidence of this is really cool.
And then so after that, we talking about our the room experience, and both nights. I remember when we first got there, I got really really bad like vertigo. It was just like an overwhelming sense of sensations going about in my head, and I was like very dizzy. And after that, it was fine though. So I feel I just walked into like almost like surprised what was ever in there, and then there were once kind of felt each other out, and everything was fine. Um,
I didn't get none of that.
yeah.
I didn't feel anything.
And I remember you said that in the bathroom you felt someone touch your leg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like brush up
Hmm.
against my knee, but it wasn't scary. It
Yeah.
wasn't anything. It wasn't my long hair. It was in a ponytail
Yeah.
and behind me, but it was just like letting us know that they're
Mhm.
there, and it's fine.
And then I am a pretty light sleeper, and I actually when I was sleeping, I would wake up usually about 2 or 3 in the morning, and I just couldn't sleep. Couldn't sleep. Something was up, and I would hear like soft footsteps walking on the carpet around the bed, and I also felt a little bit of like pressure on the side of the bed, like
Your
somebody like
side.
leaning in. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Um, and we also near the window, we were getting positive responses using the voice box, and then the cat ball we had went off. And those that have messed with those devices or seen them, uh, it's not a it's not a simple thing. You can't those cat balls need a serious like poke or touch to make them go off. They're not going to go off just by the wind or something like that. So it only happened once, but it was still unfortunately because the coolest things you don't ever catch on
Yeah,
camera because you're not ready. You just see it and you're like, oh, 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 and then
yeah.
by the time you get all your stuff up, it's over. Um, we didn't really. I tried the Estes experiment, which is where I just sit down with the headphones and I'm blindfolded and I'm listening to the radio, switching
Frequency.
channels
Yeah.
on the spirit box, and the responses I did get weren't a lot, but they were relevant to what questions Anna was asking with the voice box we have, the word box. Um, so that was interesting, but it was very short. It
Mm,
was I think it was only maybe 9 minutes,
yeah.
and because I heard very loudly in my ears, I heard stop it, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna be respectful and just leave them alone because
Hmm.
I'm sure that it's their room. We're
Yeah.
just guests, so we don't want to upset anybody or anything like that. So, very very cool place. That if you read the little book inside the room, that other people have had experiences and everything like that.
We left our
Mhm,
information down too, and what we experienced was it's just fun to read other
mhm,
people's adventures there, and just to pass it along
mhm.
for the next people.
And there is so supposedly there's two different rooms. Okay, they're original. So we stayed in the Fallen Angel room, which is the front room, which has the
Balcony.
balcony.
Mhm.
The was it the Soiled Dove room? I
Soil
want to say,
dove,
yeah, the
yes.
Soiled Dove room, which is it's on the left as soon as you go up the stairs. Apparently, that room is more active as far as like practical Joker style ghosts. Like people will you'll misplace your stuff. They'll take your stuff for a second, and they'll put it back. I'm glad I didn't have to deal with that because that's annoying, and people like me that lose stuff anyway, that would just frustrate the crap out of me. So, but yeah, we didn't have anything negative in there at all. Never felt anything negative. Um, definitely felt something there for sure, but never anything negative. That was so yeah. We had a really really good time. Highly
Definitely,
recommend it.
yeah, definitely go
Hmm.
visit. Like you were saying, the owners are fantastic. It's a husband and wife, and the breakfast is delicious. It's incredible, like home cooked meals. Um, they ask you what you want, and you know everything's prepared for you there. One of the best meals I've
Mhm.
ever had. I would
Mhm.
definitely come back there again, just for
Yeah.
the food.
Super nice. So, um, kind of to sidetrack off the paranormal was how our little bit of our comedic experience in the bar later, where we had seen the. So apparently, I didn't know this, but it was almost like a joke that happened in the bar because, let's you know that's so a ranger and a marshal walk in the bar. That's literally what happened. So it
The
was,
start of a joke.
yeah. I was very confused because I had to jump my phone and Google it real quick because I only thought like Texas Rangers and then especially I was like when you hear marshals you think like
U.S. Marshal.
fugitive hunters like U.S.
Yeah.
Marshals. So I'm like what is going on
What is
here?
this?
So come to find out, they do have, I guess it's like the Wild West style law enforcement, but instead of like sheriffs, they have marshal stations. And the Rangers is the most wild thing in the entire world. They are not like law enforcement, they are auxiliary security people that go with them unpaid. They go through training, but they are unpaid. So they have to buy their own uniforms, they have to buy their own firearms, they have to do all this stuff. Like I said, they look like they are cops with the cops, but they're not. They are unpaid
Volunteers.
volunteers, which, you know, thank God they are going to places where there's not that much crime because being unpaid doing a traffic stop or responding to a B&E or anything like that,
Domestic.
a domestic, is terrifying because it's like, oh yeah, hey, you want to go get shot at potentially for free? Yeah. So that was wild and interesting to learn that how they do things like that
And
in
the
in that
marshal.
area. And the marshal,
She had like a
yeah,
one of those
shoulda,
Secret
yeah,
Service things in the ear with the little cord in the back. You know, those clear things that Secret Service uses. And Joel was like, "Oh, when you were in law enforcement, did you ever like use one of those things?" I was like, "No." That's like what those buffs do. They
yeah,
they go to the buff shop and they get all their cool tactical gear and like, yeah, we look awesome. It was pretty silly. She was kind of mean.
yeah. So it's well, and it's funny when she said that because it reminded me when I was in the Middle East, how you'd see all of us that actually went outside the wire. We'd have the essentials. You'd have your magazine, you'd have your kit and all that stuff like that, and any zippy cuffs if you had to, you know, put
Restrained.
put someone on timeout for a little bit.
Aw.
Uh, um, but as far as the people that never left the wire, we would call them samurai or shogun warriors because they would have on the full frag kit at their crotch, their shoulder pads, their throat guard, and they would literally have every sort of device you could think of. Like they went to the 511 store before deployment, and they're just like, you know what? I want one of everything.
Hey,
Um,
they look good though, right?
no, they looked hilarious.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, because like, let's say, like, even if they, decided to go outside the wire and be in a potentially pretty dangerous situation, you can't move that great in any of that stuff. So I would rather be more mobile than, oh, I'm super safe because, I can take a bullet to the groin and it's gonna hurt, but I'll be all right. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So I thought that was funny that law enforcement has the same type of people that they buy all the Gucci gear, as we call it.
Gucci gear.
It's
Yeah.
so yeah, we had a really really good time, really interesting trip, and definitely will go back. We went to Bisbee in
Bisbee, yeah.
Jerome, or we didn't go to Jerome. We just went to Bisbee, and
What was that other place? Because we went to, it was a military base.
yeah, it was
It was like with intelligence.
yeah,
Like during World War II, there were artifacts
and now
there. It was
now
an army
they've
base.
Now they fly. They do UAV training there. So
Yeah.
that was really cool.
That was really cool. Yeah.
But they Bisbee's cool. It's just not really our thing. We were there for maybe an hour and we're like over it because it was very artsy fartsy.
And very narrow streets.
Yeah.
Oh, and prior to Bisbee, we went to Lowell or Lowell.
Lowell. Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool because there's like, it looks very like 1950s, and they got the cool cars and the vintage signs for like gas, like Shell, and the motorcycles like Indian motorcycle, and just like really really cool nostalgia things. So for picture wise, that's a cute little town. There's nothing there except just like a few stores, like vintagey, and like a diner type of thing. We didn't go in there. We just came to view, to take some photos, because it's literally next door to Bisbee. But Bisbee, yeah, like you were saying, it's very artsy. They do have museums. We went into a museum that was really interesting, where it had it was like a mining museum, and we got to see like really really cool stones and minerals and things that they mine through there, and the history of that. But very very narrow streets, kind of like reminds me of well, I've never been, but just from what I've seen, like Italy, just the very narrow. It's like bricks on the ground in some places. Very hard to find parking, but not very much our cup of tea. But very cool place to visit for me once, and I'm good.
So that was our Arizona trip. So we will. I don't know what's going on next weekend, but we will come up with different things to do, and more content ideas, and we'll definitely continue to post. So we will see you next time on the next episode of Steps into the Unknown.
Thank you.